The moment arrives with confusing gentleness. The avoidant person who has been pulling away, creating distance, demonstrating through their behavior that romantic relationship isn't what they want, suddenly offers something that sounds reasonable and kind. Friendship. They tell you they care about you deeply, that you're important to them, that they don't want to lose you from their life completely. They frame friendship as mature compromise, as way of honoring the connection, while acknowledging that romantic relationship isn't working. The offer sounds generous, even loving in its own way. They're not cutting you off completely. They're not disappearing without explanation. They're proposing to maintain connection in a form that feels manageable to them. But beneath this reasonable-sounding offer lies complex web of avoidant psychology that has nothing to do with genuine friendship and everything to do with their inability to process and express their actual feelings. The friendship offer is not what it appears to be. It's not a downgrade based on lack of feelings. It's a desperate attempt to keep you in their life while protecting themselves from the vulnerability that acknowledging their feelings would require. The avoidant person often offers friendship precisely because they do love you, not because they don't. The depth of their feelings terrifies them so profoundly that they need to create safer container for those feelings, and friendship provides that container. Understanding why avoidants make this offer, what they're actually feeling when they make it, and what accepting it would mean for your own healing reveals that the friendship offer is final manipulation disguised as kindness. Last attempt to maintain access to you without having to show up in the ways genuine partnership requires. Friendship feels safer than admitting romantic vulnerability. The avoidant person's offer of friendship stems from fundamental inability to tolerate the vulnerability that acknowledging romantic feelings requires. Romantic love is the most vulnerable position a human can occupy. To love someone romantically means admitting they have power to hurt you, that you need them in ways you cannot fully control, that your happiness is intertwined with theirs in ways that create dependency. For the avoidant person whose entire psychological structure is built on avoiding dependence and vulnerability, romantic love represents existential threat to their sense of safety and self. When the avoidant person realizes they have deep feelings for you, this realization triggers massive anxiety rather than joy. Their system registers the feelings as danger. They recognize that they care about you in ways that make them vulnerable, that they think about you constantly, that your presence or absence affects their mood and well-being. These indicators of love activate all their attachment fears. They remember, usually unconsciously, that caring about people in the past led to pain. They learn that needing someone gives that person power to reject or abandon them. They developed an entire defensive system to prevent ever being in this vulnerable position again. And now here they are, feeling exactly what they've spent their life trying not to feel. The avoidant person cannot simply acknowledge these feelings and move forward into deeper relationship. That path requires vulnerability they're not capable of tolerating. They cannot say, "I love you," because saying those words would make the feelings real and undeniable. They cannot commit to partnership because commitment would formalize their dependence on you. They cannot allow the relationship to deepen because deeper intimacy would increase their vulnerability beyond what their nervous system can handle. But they also cannot simply end things and lose you completely because they do care about you. They do want you in their life. They do value the connection, even as it terrifies them. Friendship becomes the solution to this impossible dilemma. Friendship allows them to keep you in their life without having to acknowledge the depth of their feelings. It creates container that feels safer because friendship, in their minds, comes with less vulnerability than romance. Friends care about each other, but don't need each other in the same dependent ways that romantic partners do. Friends can maintain more distance and independence. Friends don't make themselves fully vulnerable to each other. This reduced vulnerability is precisely what the avoidant person needs to feel safe enough to maintain connection with you. The friendship offer allows the avoidant person to reframe their feelings in less threatening terms. Instead of admitting they're in love with you, which would require acknowledging profound vulnerability, they can tell themselves and you that they care about you as a friend. This reframing minimizes the feelings enough that they become manageable. The avoidant person can admit to friendly affection without having to confront the deeper romantic love that actually exists. They can explain their desire to maintain connection as valuing your friendship rather than as inability to let you go because they love you but can't handle that love. This reframing also protects the avoidant person's ego and self-image. They've likely told themselves that they're independent, that they don't need romantic relationships, that they're fine alone. Admitting they've fallen in love contradicts this self-image and forces them to acknowledge needs and dependencies they've denied having. But reframing the connection as friendship allows them to maintain their self-image as independent person who simply values certain friendships. They can care about you while still telling themselves they don't need romantic partnership, that they're choosing friendship because it aligns with their values, rather than admitting they're running from romantic feelings they can't handle. The avoidant person genuinely believes that friendship will be easier and less intense than romantic relationship. They imagine that by removing the romantic label and expectations, they can maintain connection with you while eliminating the pressure and vulnerability that romance entails. They don't recognize that their feelings don't change just because the label changes. The love they feel for you won't diminish simply because they call you a friend instead of a partner. The vulnerability they fear won't disappear just because they've downgraded the relationship's formal status. This misunderstanding reveals the avoidant person's fundamental confusion about where feelings come from and what creates vulnerability. They believe vulnerability comes from relationship structures and labels rather than from the feelings themselves. They think that by changing the structure from romance to friendship, they can control and minimize their vulnerability. But vulnerability is created by caring about someone, by their well-being mattering to you, by their presence or absence affecting you. These realities don't change when you call someone a friend instead of a partner. The avoidant person will discover, if they pursue this friendship, that they're just as vulnerable to you as a friend as they would be as a romantic partner, because the feelings driving that vulnerability remain unchanged. But in the moment of offering friendship, the avoidant person hasn't realized this yet. They genuinely believe they've found a solution that allows them to keep you while protecting themselves. They experience the offer as generous compromise rather than recognizing it as continued avoidance of the vulnerability genuine relationship requires. The offer feels safer to them because it allows them to maintain connection while denying the depth of their actual feelings. This denial is familiar and comfortable for the avoidant person. They've spent their life minimizing and denying their needs and feelings. Offering you friendship is just another iteration of this lifelong pattern. They want to keep you without the pressure of partnership. The friendship offer serves another crucial function for the avoidant person. It allows them to maintain access to you and the benefits of your presence without having to meet the responsibilities and expectations that romantic partnership requires. Throughout the romantic relationship, the avoidant person likely experienced your reasonable needs and expectations as overwhelming pressure. Your desire for consistent communication felt like demand for too much contact. Your need for emotional presence felt like requirement for vulnerability they couldn't provide. Your expectation of reliability and follow-through felt like constraints on their freedom. Every normal aspect of partnership registered to their nervous system as burden or trap. But despite experiencing the relationship as pressuring, The avoidant person also experienced real benefits from your presence in their life. You likely provided emotional support, even if they couldn't fully receive it. You offered companionship and connection, even if they had to maintain distance from it. You brought qualities into their life that they valued, even if they couldn't acknowledge their value openly. You made them feel things they normally don't allow themselves to feel, even if those feelings were frightening. The avoidant person doesn't want to lose these benefits, but they also can't tolerate the requirements that romantic relationship entails. Friendship seems like perfect solution because, in the avoidant person's mind, friendship comes with all the benefits but none of the obligations. They can still see you, still talk to you, still benefit from your presence in their life, but without the expectations that partners have for each other. Friends don't need to talk every day. Friends don't need to be emotionally vulnerable with each other. Friends can go long periods without contact and pick up where they left off. Friends can maintain independence while still caring about each other. The avoidant person wants all of this because it allows them to have you in their life, on their terms, at their comfort level, without the pressure they experienced in romance. This desire reveals the fundamentally selfish nature of the friendship offer. The avoidant person is not thinking about what's best for you or what you need. They're thinking exclusively about what arrangement would allow them to feel most comfortable while maintaining access to you. They're not considering that friendship might be painful for you, that it might prevent you from healing and moving on, that it might keep you hoping for something that will never materialize. They're focused entirely on their own needs and comfort, as avoidant people typically are, and the friendship offer serves those needs perfectly. The friendship offer also allows the avoidant person to avoid the guilt they would feel if they completely cut you out of their life. Despite their emotional limitations, most avoidant people don't actually want to hurt others. They recognize that you care about them and that ending things completely would cause you pain. But they also cannot continue romantic relationship given their limitations. Friendship becomes compromise that assuages their guilt. They can tell themselves they're being kind by not cutting you off completely, that they're honoring the connection by maintaining friendship, that they're doing right thing by offering continued relationship in the form they can handle. This guilt management is important to the avoidant person because it allows them to maintain their self-image as good person. They don't want to see themselves as someone who uses others and discards them. They don't want to acknowledge the pain their withdrawal causes. Offering friendship allows them to frame themselves as caring and considerate, even as they're fundamentally refusing to meet your needs. They can point to the friendship offer as evidence of their good intentions and their value of you, conveniently ignoring that the offer primarily serves their needs rather than yours. The avoidant person also wants to keep you accessible in case they change their mind or need you in the future. This motivation is often unconscious, but it's powerful nonetheless. The avoidant person isn't ready for relationship now, but some part of them recognizes that they might want relationship later, once their anxiety settles or if they become less defended. Friendship keeps you in their orbit, maintains the connection, prevents you from fully moving on and becoming unavailable to them. This insurance policy protects them from the possibility that they'll heal enough to want relationship only to discover you're no longer an option. This keeping you accessible function of the friendship offer is particularly manipulative because it prevents you from moving forward while the avoidant person figures themselves out. You remain emotionally invested, hoping that friendship might evolve back into romance, waiting for them to become ready, organizing part of your emotional life around them. Meanwhile, they're free to explore other connections, work on themselves at their own pace, and generally live their life without considering your needs or timeline. The friendship arrangement benefits them tremendously while costing you the opportunity to fully release them and open yourself to new possibilities. The pressure-free aspect of friendship is largely illusion, though the avoidant person doesn't recognize this. They imagine that friendship will involve none of the expectations that made romantic relationship feel overwhelming. But if you accept the friendship offer, you'll likely continue having needs and expectations, even if you try to suppress them. You'll want more contact than they're comfortable with. You'll hope for deeper emotional sharing than they can provide. You'll expect consistency and follow-through that they still won't deliver. The friendship will recreate all the same dynamics that made the romance difficult. But now you'll have even less standing to express your needs because "we're just friends" becomes justification for their continued unavailability. The avoidant person's desire to keep you without the pressure of partnership reveals their fundamental inability to understand what relationship requires. They want connection without vulnerability, intimacy without consistency, your presence without obligation, your care without reciprocation. This one-sided arrangement is not friendship. It's continued avoidance with a new label. True friendship involves mutual care, reciprocal effort, and appropriate expectations for reliability and presence. What the avoidant person is offering is access to you on their terms, with no requirements that they show up in any meaningful way. This is not friendship. It's exploitation disguised as compromise. Friendship maintains control. While testing your acceptance, the friendship offer serves crucial function of allowing the avoidant person to maintain control over the relationship's terms and trajectory. Throughout the romantic relationship, the avoidant person likely struggled with the loss of control that intimacy requires. Genuine partnership involves surrendering some control, allowing another person's needs and feelings to affect your choices and behavior, accepting that you cannot always predict or manage the relationship's emotional dynamics. This loss of control is terrifying for the avoidant person whose defense system is built on maintaining control through distance and emotional management. By offering friendship instead of romance, the avoidant person reasserts control that felt threatened in romantic relationship. They're the one defining the terms of the new arrangement. They're deciding that romance is over and friendship is what's on offer. They're establishing the boundaries and expectations for how you'll interact going forward. This repositioning in the driver's seat feels safer and more comfortable than the uncertain, mutually negotiated dynamic that romantic relationship requires. The avoidant person is determining what kind of relationship exists between you, and this determination restores their sense of control that genuine intimacy had threatened. The friendship offer also allows the avoidant person to control the narrative about why the romantic relationship ended. If they frame the ending as mutual recognition that you're better as friends, they avoid having to acknowledge that they couldn't meet your needs or that their avoidance patterns destroyed the relationship. They can create story where both people maturely agreed that friendship suits you better, rather than the truth that they couldn't tolerate the vulnerability romance required. This narrative control protects their ego and their self-image while obscuring their responsibility for the relationship's failure. Additionally, the friendship offer functions as test of your acceptance and understanding. The avoidant person wants to know whether you'll accept them on their terms, whether you'll stay in their life even when they can't give you what you actually need, whether you'll prove that you care enough about them to accept crumbs rather than demanding full partnership. Your response to the friendship offer tells them how much power they have, how invested you are, how much you're willing to compromise your own needs to maintain connection with them. This information is valuable to the avoidant person because it confirms their position of control and importance. If you accept the friendship offer, you're communicating to the avoidant person that they're worth staying for, even when they won't meet your needs. This acceptance feels validating to them because it confirms their value while requiring nothing additional from them. They get to feel wanted and important without having to do the difficult work of showing up as genuine partner. Your acceptance of friendship proves to them that they can have you in their life without having to change, grow, or become more vulnerable. This confirmation reinforces their avoidant patterns rather than challenging them. The test aspect of the friendship offer also reveals the avoidant person's unconscious desire for you to prove your love by accepting whatever scraps they offer. Part of them wants evidence that you care enough to stay, despite their limitations, that you value them enough to accept friendship even though you want romance, that you're willing to wait and hope rather than moving on. This desire for proof stems from their deep insecurity and their fear that they're fundamentally unlovable. If you accept friendship, you're providing evidence that contradicts this fear, showing them that they matter enough for you to accept less than you deserve. But this test is fundamentally unfair because it puts you in an impossible position. If you accept friendship, you're sacrificing your own needs and healing to provide the avoidant person with validation they haven't earned. If you decline friendship, the avoidant person may interpret this as proof that you didn't really care about them, that your love was conditional on getting what you wanted, that they were right to be defended because people only want them when they're getting something from them. The test is rigged so that either outcome confirms the avoidant person's defensive worldview rather than challenging them to grow. The control maintained through the friendship offer also extends to the avoidant person's ability to keep you at exact distance they find comfortable. In romantic relationship, your needs for closeness constantly pushed against their need for distance, creating tension and discomfort. But in friendship, they can establish distance they want and frame it as appropriate for friendship rather than as their avoidant patterns. If you want more contact than they're providing, they can claim you're expecting too much from friendship. If you need more emotional intimacy than they can offer, they can say that level of intimacy isn't part of friendship. The friendship framework gives them perfect excuse for maintaining the distance they need while making your desires for more closeness seem inappropriate. This control through the friendship structure allows the avoidant person to blame you if you're unhappy with the arrangement. If you express that friendship isn't enough, that you need more, that you're struggling with the downgrade, they can frame these expressions as you not respecting the boundaries of friendship, as you wanting something they've clearly stated they cannot give, as you being unable to accept the relationship for what it is. This victim blaming protects the avoidant person from taking responsibility for the pain their limitations cause, while making you the problem if you're not satisfied with what they're offering. The control element of the friendship offer also serves defensive function for the avoidant person. By maintaining some connection through friendship, they can tell themselves they haven't fully lost you, that they haven't destroyed something valuable, that they're still important in your life. This defense protects them from having to feel the full weight of what they're giving up by being unable to show up as romantic partner. If they ended things completely, they would have to sit with the loss and potentially recognize their role in creating that loss. But ongoing friendship allows them to avoid this painful reckoning by maintaining the fiction that nothing essential has been lost, that you're still in each other's lives, that the connection continues, even if its form has changed. The hidden hope that you'll wait while they figure themselves out. Perhaps the most insidious aspect of the friendship offer is the avoidant person's often unconscious hope that you'll wait for them while they work through their issues. The avoidant person recognizes, at some level, that they're not ready for the relationship you deserve. They know their patterns are destructive. They sense that their limitations are preventing genuine partnership. But they're not ready to do the difficult work of healing those patterns and expanding their capacity. They need time, maybe lots of time, to reach the place where they could show up for you the way you need. The friendship offer keeps you in their life while they take this time. It maintains the connection so that when and if they become ready for genuine relationship, you might still be available. This hope is usually not articulated or even fully conscious, but it operates powerfully beneath the surface of the friendship offer. The avoidant person is essentially asking you to remain emotionally invested while they figure out whether they can ever meet your needs, to stay accessible while they work through their issues at their own pace, to keep caring about them while they take however long they need, to possibly become capable of reciprocating that care adequately. This hidden hope is profoundly selfish because it prioritizes the avoidant person's timeline and needs while completely disregarding yours. You're expected to put your romantic life on hold, to remain entangled with someone who can't be your partner, to continue investing emotionally in relationship that's not meeting your needs, all on the off chance that someday the avoidant person might heal enough to want what you've wanted all along. Meanwhile, the avoidant person faces no equivalent sacrifice. They get to maintain comfortable distance, do their growth work without the pressure of being in relationship, explore other connections if they choose, and generally live their life freely while you wait in the wings. The avoidant person often frames this implicit request for waiting as respect for your autonomy. They'll say things like, "I want you to live your life," or "I'm not asking you to wait for me." These statements seem generous on the surface, but they function as plausible deniability. The avoidant person can claim they never asked you to wait, while the entire friendship structure is designed to keep you waiting. They're not explicitly requesting you remain available, but they're maintaining connection that makes it likely you will remain available. They get the benefit of you waiting without having to take responsibility for asking you to wait. This dynamic is particularly painful because it prevents genuine friendship from forming. True friendship isn't burdened by one person, hoping it will evolve into romance, while the other person keeps that person as option for potential future romance. True friendship is complete in itself, meeting both people's needs for connection without unspoken agendas or hidden hopes. What the avoidant person is proposing isn't friendship, it's romantic relationship in holding pattern, connection maintained in diminished form, while the avoidant person reserves the right to escalate it later if they become capable of doing so. The hope that you'll wait also reveals the avoidant person's awareness of your value. Despite their withdrawal and inability to meet your needs, they recognize that you're worth keeping in their life. They sense that losing you completely would be genuine loss. They understand, even if dimly, that you offer something rare and valuable that they might not find easily elsewhere. This recognition is why they can't fully let you go, why they need to keep you connected through friendship. They want you to be there when they finally develop capacity for relationship, assuming that day ever comes. But this hope is unfair to you because it asks you to sacrifice your present for their possible future. You're living with actual feelings and needs right now, not theoretical feelings and needs you might have later. The avoidant person's hope that you'll wait asks you to deny your present reality in service of possibility that may never materialize. They might never do the work to heal their patterns. They might develop capacity for relationship, but not want it with you specifically. They might take so long to heal that by the time they're ready, you've moved on and built life with someone else. All of these outcomes are more likely than the fantasy where you wait, they heal, and you reunite in healthy relationship. The hidden hope also keeps the avoidant person from fully reckoning with the consequences of their limitations. If you stay in their life as friend, they don't have to feel the full weight of losing you. They can maintain the fiction that they haven't really lost anything, that the relationship just changed form rather than ending. This fiction protects them from the pain that might actually motivate change. When avoidant people experience complete loss of someone important, when they fully feel that loss without the buffer of ongoing friendship, they sometimes become motivated to examine their patterns and do the work of healing. But ongoing friendship prevents this complete loss and the potential growth it might catalyze. The hidden hope also indicates that the avoidant person hasn't accepted their own limitations as permanent. They maintain some optimism that they'll change, that they'll heal, that they'll become capable of relationship eventually. This optimism might seem healthy, but when it's expressed through friendship offer that asks you to wait, it's actually another form of avoidance. Instead of accepting where they currently are and taking full responsibility for it, including accepting that it means they cannot have romantic relationship with you, they're trying to keep their options open in case future version of themselves is more capable. They want the benefits of your presence now while reserving the possibility of romance later, giving themselves best of both worlds while you get stuck in limbo. The most painful aspect of this hidden hope is that many people who accept the friendship offer do exactly what the avoidant person unconsciously wants. They wait. They maintain the friendship while secretly hoping it will evolve back into romance. They interpret any warmth or closeness from the avoidant person as sign that feelings are returning, that possibility is emerging, that waiting is paying off. They put their romantic lives on hold or pursue other relationships half-heartedly, while remaining primarily emotionally invested in the avoidant person. This waiting can last months or years, consuming the time when they could be healing fully and opening to genuine partnership with someone capable of meeting their needs. The reality is that accepting the friendship offer significantly decreases the likelihood that the avoidant person will do the work to heal. Why would they? They have you in their life, they're comfortable, they're getting benefits of your presence without the pressure of meeting your needs. There's no impetus for change because they're not experiencing full consequences of their limitations. The friendship allows them to avoid both the pain of losing you and the discomfort of having to show up differently. It's perfect arrangement for maintaining their avoidant patterns indefinitely. If you want the avoidant person to have any chance of healing and possibly becoming capable of relationship in the future, the least helpful thing you can do is accept the friendship offer. The most helpful thing, both for you and potentially for them, is complete disconnection that forces both of you to fully feel the loss and move forward separately.